Hello and welcome to World's End Tarot. Today I am doing a pick a card reading on your next relationship. This is a really new channel and I only have a few subscribers and I've only released a few videos so far. But one of my most popular videos recently has been about love and soulmates and what your relationship happens to be or where it happens to be going or who is coming into your life next. And I've noticed this, and so I thought I would bring you more answers if you are somebody who is currently unattached, single, and looking and wondering about your next relationship. We're going to be looking at what kind of energies this new relationship's bringing in for you, what kind of person this relationship may bring, what it will feel like, what kind of signs to look out for as you're looking for your relationship coming into your life. The way that we're going to do it is unusual. I went into the garden and I picked out these roses. These are not the nicest roses because I was deadheading a little bit. There are some nicer ones I've left on the stem because they look beautiful and I don't want to hurt my flowers. But I did choose a few nice looking ones that are a little bit past their best. And I want you to decide which rose you are feeling most attracted to. Then we're going to go into the cards. I'm going to be preparing the piles for each rose and you can watch, which is unusual. I've never done that before. And I'm hoping that if you feel drawn to a certain rose as I'm choosing the cards for the roses, then you're going to go with that impulse and go with that reading. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to leave timestamps for everything if you want to skip ahead and just get to the reading if you already know what your reading is. But if you're like me and you're feeling a little bit more intuitive about it, you can join me to choose these cards with me. We have rose number 1. We have rose number 2. We have rose number 3. And we have rose number 4. So those are our roses, and I'm now going to go into the cards and I'm going to choose the oracle decks for each of these cards. And if you want to join me for that, you're very welcome. If not, you want to skip ahead to the reading, depending on the rose that you felt drawn to just now, go ahead. The timestamps are going to be available to you. But if you're with me, we're just going to be feeling our way through each of these roses, picking out these cards. Can I get one for one, please? Each of my... Thank you. So the first one I chose there, it was Enchanted Blossoms Oracle deck by Carla Morrow. This I think is Sacred Destiny by Denise Lynn. If you're interested in these cards, that's what we're using. For one, please. Thank you. For two, please. Two. I'm just quietly going through this. This is the Spellcasting Oracle card deck. That one's for number one. Thank you. For three, thank you. Oh, this is more forthcoming from the Enchanted Map Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. Very forthcoming with the messages from Spirit there. Let's see what the Sacred Forest Oracle from Denise Lynn has to say. Thank you. Okay. Sometimes there's more than one message, it would seem. And that was that one. I feel it there's, yeah. Oh, there was another one in there. Thank you. I feel like another one needs to come out here. There's actually two. And a third. Okay, that was four there. That's wild to me, but there you go. So that is each of our piles here with the rose as well corresponding. So if you're going by the piles themselves, there are all of our messages lined up for you. Just take a minute and I will see you in your reading. Hello pile one, here is your love reading. What will be your next relationship? What energies are we bringing into the area of love and romantic connection in our lives? This is hopefully what we're going to be finding out from Spirit today via the tarot and our oracle decks. So I'm going to place this lovely little rose to the side. And we're going to have a look and see what cards you're getting up. Then I'm going to be reaching into my tarot, Mystical Moments tarot deck to read for some of the more obvious signs, I guess, via the tarot about what the relationship that you will be getting into next is going to be like. So let's just have a look, first of all, at the main card we chose here. From Enchanted Blossoms, we're getting the Dignity card. Have a little look there for you. And that has Dahlia and the Orion butterfly. which is really interesting. Really curious mix, actually. We're gonna be reading into Carla Morrow's book a little deeper on this card, but first we're just going to look through all of the oracles. We have blessings coming to you in this new relationship. Oh, this is lovely. We have lighten your load coming to you in this new relationship. We have come together coming to you in this new relationship. Ooh, I've never got this one before. We have dragon and power coming to you in this new relationship. And we have toadstools and growth coming into this new relationship. Okay, this is nice. I'm going to go into the book of The Enchanted Blossoms by Carla Morrow, just because I'm not very aware of botanicals in the way that I would like to be, and I feel that this book has a lot to offer. So let's just have a look at what this book says about your card of dignity with the Dahlia and the Orion. Elegant Dahlia hails from Mexico and Guatemala, where it has long been used in food and medicine. It is thought the Aztecs used it to treat epilepsy. Dahlias arrived in Spain in 1789, where they were given their European name after a Swedish botanist, Andreas Dahl. It is now a favourite in bouquets and in gardens where it blooms can be seen from summer through fall. With single flowers standing tall and sophisticated on long stalks, Dahlia is the embodiment of dignity. Dignity is not something that you need to learn, earn, or inherit. This card is a reminder that to be human is to be born into dignity. It is not a quality that can be taken from you, but it is something our treatment of others can lack. So, while a behaviour policy or comment can be demeaning, it cannot belittle someone's human right to dignity. Remember, everyone comes with a right to be treated with kindness and respect, regardless of the situation you find yourself in. Know your worth in the world and hold tight to your sense of worth and act with dignity. So a couple of things came to me as we were reading that meaning. I think it's really interesting that the dahlia is said to be blooming, particularly from summer through to fall, because I would like to say that that tells me that this next relationship comes to you during the summer or the fall, and that could be the summer coming now. So it could be quite soon that you meet this person. Could be that it comes in later summers, so don't get ahead of yourself there, but yeah, it could mean that this connection is coming sooner rather than later, since we're stepping into summer now and into the autumn as well. So that was interesting. The other thing that was coming to me there as I was reading, because I immediately thought of this other card here, blessings coming in. Lighting your load, come together, power, growth. So pile one, I do wonder if this next relationship for you is about to teach you about having dignity in your own self and in your own life. I feel like this person is going to be a really healthy influence coming in for you, in a way where there's someone who can't help but bring you into a more authentic way of living your life. It's almost as if they are a higher standard than what you have been used to. And I mean that it's almost, for me, it's feeling like you may have been used to being treated really undignified by past lovers, and that this new relationship that you're about to come into is an example of you actually relearning your worth. I feel like this person's going to be one of these types of people to say, why are you letting them treat you like that? Don't you know you don't deserve this. Like you're more worthy than this. They're that kind of person. When you're being mistreated, they're the first person to say something about it. That's how I'm seeing it. It's not so much coming from a protective sense. There's not a level of control through that. It's more just they are living themselves in a place of power, and they lift you up with them in that power. And I'm saying the word power without even realizing here we had dragon and the word power coming through, which I think is really perfect for that level. There is this power that they have that's internalized for them. They teach you to re-engage with the inner power that you have already had, you already did. It's like they're reminding you how to protect yourself. They're not your protector, they're enlightening you how to protect yourself, if that makes sense. Also with this this relationship, I see that this is someone who really meets you as an equal, that you're very strong together. You're both on the same page. And I feel like I keep seeing this thing where I feel like they see the potential in you, and they dare you to meet them at an equal level. Like they're up here, you're a bit down there, and they're like, you could come up with me, and so you join them. It's something that you wouldn't notice. It's going to happen over time. You won't realize that your self-esteem has been improving. You won't realize that this person just naturally encourages you to see yourself in better terms, to see what you're worth, to fight for things that you deserve. And it's just truly from an open place. They really believe in you. They really love you. They really respect you. They are a blessing coming into your life. And they also invite you to enjoy the blessings that they already have in their lives. They're somebody very positive. They don't really sweat the small stuff. Whereas I feel like maybe pile one, you're someone who might be guilty of that. And it comes from a place of fear as opposed to a place of actual reality. Like you're frightened to not worry. You're hyper vigilant in a sense, because I feel like you have had experiences and also possibly past relationships that have been a lot tougher than the person that you will be coming into this relationship with. I feel like they've had a bit more of a charmed life, so it might even be easier for them to imagine things in a more positive, optimistic way, where for you that's almost like a skill that they're teaching you. And at first you may be a little resistant to that because it feels unusual and it feels like it might be lying, but it's not. It's so much more about a different mindset. This person with a positive mindset who is asking you to join them in that place, because it's almost as if a choice about how you see the circumstances. Circumstances aren't always in our control, but we're usually much more in control of the way that we perceive and the way that we feel about the circumstances than we're willing to admit at first. This is someone who's actually really highly skilled at using their optimism and their mindset as a way to feel empowered and to live their life in true authenticity. And this is why this lighten the load card is coming through here. It's partly because this person, I mean, naturally through being this way, they're going to be lightening your load. There's a burden that you're carrying that you don't necessarily need to either carry on your own or carry at all. This is somebody who challenges those ideals that you've been carrying this whole time. I feel like the resistance comes from you thinking that it's undignified in a way to be happy or to be celebratory. I think this person is a little bit more... I feel like they're able to laugh at themselves easier than you're able to laugh at yourself, and part of that lesson learning is them teaching you how to laugh at yourself better, partly through laughing at you at first. And I can feel the spikiness coming from you going, don't laugh at me, I'm very serious, and they're going, are you sure? There's that kind of playful energy, and it gets you out of your shell. It's actually a more powerful place to be, because instead of thinking, if I'm reserved, I'm going to protect myself, you start to realize that the more open emotionally and intimately you are with other people, the better and happier your life becomes. This is somebody who kind of unlocks that key into that part of yourself that was always there before. You're not changing, they're just revealing a part of yourself that you hadn't been aware of before, because they're so good humored and they really see you. They really see you on an equal level, so they can recognize those patterns, because I think they've been through them themselves as well. Or in the very least, they have enough empathy to understand where you're coming from, if that makes sense. So this is why we're getting the toadstool reference, because this growth is happening slowly over time. This person isn't the reason you're growing. You will grow regardless. It's just that this relationship is also a catalyst for something better. So it's really looking very, very nice, pile one. I want to go into the tarot cards and get a few tarot to elaborate and clarify what we're seeing here. Just have a little extra into what this relationship feels like to the end. One more, please. Okay. Oh! More flowers. Don't know why I turned that one over so quickly. Oh, this is nice. Okay, pile one. So, this person is likely to be quite financially well off. That's, I think, where that safety, that idea of, oh, it doesn't really matter, or, oh, things aren't that bad, kind of comes from. Partly because this person, like I said before, yeah, has had a slightly more charmed life than yours. They're not pretentious about it. It's just sometimes they're maybe a little bit naive. I wouldn't say naive, maybe they're not naive. They're definitely tuned into what other people need. It's very difficult to explain to somebody emotionally what something feels like if they've just never been through it. And so I would say to have patience with that. It's not a failure. It's not a lack of empathy. It's just sometimes if you haven't really gone through certain things before, it's actually quite hard to imagine. So not that I'm saying this is where you've been, but I have noticed recently that some people really struggle with the idea of what it might be like to be in an abusive relationship. They're not necessarily sure about certain signs. They're not necessarily, the only experience that they may have ever had with that is either in high school with teenagey relationships, or possibly when it's represented on television, and so they can be quite simplified and quite simplistic about the way that they see things. And that goes for literally anything that you have not yourself gone through. And even sometimes when you have also gone through something yourself, it doesn't make you an expert. So what I'm saying in terms of the reading for this person coming in, they're someone who really wants to learn and really cares about you, but they also have a perspective that they have that's just as useful and valid as well, and also is also true. And so there's going to be some negotiation, I think, when you come into this relationship, because there might be a little bit of resentment from your part for them having had it a little bit easier, and I would ask you to challenge that within yourself. It's actually quite a limiting belief. There are things that everybody can teach us, and likewise, if somebody hasn't had as good a time as you, it doesn't make their experience any less true or any less true, I think is the best way to say it. You can argue about how something happened, but we're talking about perceptions. Everybody's different. So sometimes we get into this place where we can lock into this idea that an argument about what's the case, what's the truth, from the personal feelings we have towards it, we can kind of get lost in that and we can't quite see the wood for the trees. So I'm saying here, this person may have perspectives that you can't quite relate to, but that's not a failure. It's not a bad thing, because actually you guys are almost like a yin and yang kind of essence. Like what one of you lacks, the other one has. What the other one lacks, the other one has, and you actually come together quite strongly. So don't worry that they may not have come from the same side of the tracks as you, or on some issues they may not have quite the same perspective. You both have the ability to learn from each other, and ultimately what's going on is you have so much more in common than you may actually initially understand. So that's why I'm laughing, because it's quite nice. It's also just, this is someone who's really willing to share. They have got more resources, and they're really not someone who's like, they're careful with money, they're good with money, but they're also good at spending money when it's right. They don't have this, they don't have too many like money wounds or trauma that they're suffering. They actually are really, they're quite well, they're quite financially turned on, and they also know how to spend their money well. So they don't have a problem with spending money on a good meal for a celebration, or a decent holiday once in a while. They're not stingy like that, but they're also not overly spendy either. They're not someone who's bad with money. It's quite a responsible feeling, but I'm also getting quite a youthful energy too. So it could be that this is coming through for quite a mature person who's actually quite youthful, like literally quite young, or this is somebody who has that maturity, has that age, but still has that youthful energy about them. Those are the kinds of energies I'm getting coming from this. And I'm getting that through with the Page of Cups. They have you're going to feel quite safe emotionally in this relationship. And it's at times, it's almost as if you've got someone to talk to about some of the things you've never really spoken about before. That's coming through as well. There's a quietness about this relationship where I can see you both, there's a lot of pillow talk. It's not sexual pillow talk, it's you really go into each other's childhood stories. You really actually are each other's, not therapists, but there is a certain amount of healing that happens when you guys meet. And I think some of that is partly because you both have so many stories that are so different to the other one's experience. It's actually really enjoyable to tell each other all about where you've been before you met. That's coming through. Five of Wands is interesting to me, and I think I've already touched on Five of Wands. There are going to be, this relationship will require some negotiation. You guys don't always see things eye to eye, and sometimes that's going to cause some conflict. I don't see a reason for that to be a bad thing. I actually see it as something that's quite healthy. You learn to fight well with each other. It takes some practice, but you do learn to fight healthily with each other. You argue healthily, and there's a lot of negotiation. And there's something quite enjoyable about the negotiation. It's almost as if that's kind of like a bit of a foreplay for you guys, where you have this kind of bickering, loving, teasing kind of repertoire that you have with each other. And it's charming, and it keeps you both, I feel like you're both quite intelligent, and these verbal spars kind of keep you both engaged with each other. They're not emotionally fraught though. There's nothing like super traumatic going on, and it's just, that's the way that you choose to communicate. You kind of tease each other quite a lot, and at times when it's a little bit more serious, you also know how to compromise. But I do feel like you don't necessarily talk to each other in very clear terms. I feel like both of you may have your own agenda, and you're not necessarily speaking openly about it, and the other one has to kind of guess, and then you have to guess them. And there's something enjoyable about that being a method of communication. But possibly to other people it might look like you're bad at communicating, just because you don't necessarily speak very openly if there is an issue. You kind of maneuver around each other an awful lot more than maybe might be advisable, but it kind of works for you. That's how I'm seeing it. You're also both very hard workers. I can see that possibly you guys may end up going into some kind of business together, or in the very least, when life gets you down, you guys have a really good way of changing it up so that the perspective of it being a bit of like a harder time, you both actually end up learning lessons. It's almost like you play on that idea of learning a lesson through some hardships, and you actually end up enjoying things that ordinarily on your own you may have found extremely problematic or difficult. It's almost as if this person gives you this inner power, this inner strength, and you have a sense of humor about things in a way that you hadn't before. It's partly because you're coming from a place where you're in a unified, you have someone has your back, and suddenly things don't seem so serious, even though things haven't really changed in that way. It's just that your attitude to them changed, and in that self, this relationship is actually very transformative for you. There's just this overall feeling of lightening the load. This is a particularly interesting card to me, because I really feel like this sums up a lot of how the experience of the relationship feels when you're with this person. They just provide you with a bunch of stuff that you didn't have on your own. It's like there is a feeling of feeling more complete. And so I'm really happy for you, Pile 1. I think you have a lot to look forward to whenever this new relationship comes into your life. Like I said at the start of the reading, it's possible it's coming this summer into this fall, or if not, it's coming into a summer or fall aspect of the years ahead. But this is a really healthy, happy relationship. It really provides you with things that you need, and also things that you like. And this person does see you for who you are and makes you feel good and challenges you in a healthy way. So this is your reading, pile one. I wish you all the best. If you enjoyed this reading, please consider subscribing, liking the video, or leaving a comment to let me know how you found it. I really like hearing your feedback. But until then, have a lovely one. See you later. Bye, pile one. Hello, pile two, and welcome to your reading for what will be your next relationship. What will it feel like? What kind of energies are we working with? This is your beautiful rose that you chose, and I'm going to place it over here during the reading. We are going to be looking at your oracle cards first, and I'm going to read a little bit from the Enchanted Blossoms book by Carla Morrow for some insight into the first card that's coming up here. The first card is Beauty with the orchid and the yellow tiger swallowtail. So that is really nice. We'll have a little look into the meaning of that in a minute. You also have success coming through here. It is nice, nice. We also have standstill. Interesting. We also have closure. Ooh. One ring circus. Really interesting. Really interesting. Put that there. We have owl spirit, wisdom, and we have this one, which I remember leaping out. Daffodil fairy, new beginnings. I'm going to need to use the book for two of these cards because I'm going to need some help with this one ring circus card. But first of all, let us go into Carla Morrow, Enchanted Blossoms for Beauty, because, you know, I'm not good with the history of some of these plants, or I'm not familiar with butterflies generally either. So I think that this is a really good resource for us to have a look and see what's going on with this card that's coming up here for us. So it says, I will hold this up for you actually, pile two. With its symmetry and fragrance, every aspect of orchid is an embodiment of beauty itself. People have fallen so deeply under the orchid's spell that they have helped to cultivate more than twice as many orchid types as there are species of birds. Once a solely tropical flowering plant, orchids can now be grown almost anywhere with a little care. With thousands of varieties of every colour of the rainbow, everyone can find an orchid that sings to them. Its exotic grace, elegance, delicacy and diversity make it a fitting symbol of beauty. This card is a reminder of your inner and outer beauty and its allure found in the world around you. Everyone has loveliness in them, even when we might not feel it. The grace of a hand, the curve of a body, or the shape of a brow can all be exquisite and loved. The charm of one's soul should always be held sacred. Breathe deep and welcome any thoughts on what you find bewitching about yourself, for you are beautiful. For the rest of the day, notice the artistry that surrounds you in the rich colours of the sky, the fresh scent of the grass, and the elegant lines of buildings. Acknowledge them, welcome them, and revel in them. See yourself reflected in the beauty of the world, as the world and the self truly are beautiful. So that's starting off our reading there with those messages, pile one. I'm going to go into the enchanted map quickly and have a look at this one circus ring, because, you know, I've never actually seen this card come up in a reading before. So I'm really curious to see what the interpretation of this is and if we're agreeing with it, because it's a really interesting card, especially for a relationship reading. Independence is key now as you step into your journey today. Others may not have the vision or resources that you need. Recognize that all wisdom you've acquired along the way makes you particularly competent, capable, and moving forward with assurance. Self-reliance is important. Another aspect to consider is creating and maintaining clear boundaries between you and another. Be discerning about your partnerships at this time. When you know who you are and have a healthy sense of where you end and others begin, you are able to enter into the best kind of relationships and will attract people who mirror back your wholeness. Interdependent relationships are always mutually supportive, stimulating, and transformative. You can achieve anything at this time. Okay, now I understand. Okay. So this does seem to be a bit of a rallying cry from the universe to you right now, pile 2. It's a really interesting message because at one point it's very encouraging, and in another point it's very much reminding you that you're gonna be okay. So when we're looking into this idea of asking about what your next relationship's going to be like, what it's going to feel like when you're in it, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and we need to be careful. So there are 4 cards here coming up that I'm interested in, particularly in one aspect. That's New Beginnings, the Standstill card, the Closure card, and the One Ring Circus card that I just read as well. Pile 2, I do feel that this next relationship that you're going to be going into is going to be very... I want to say difficult, but I don't think that's quite the right word. It's going to be... You need to be very careful going into the next relationship, because this relationship here has some of the potential to be very good for you, but also you have a lot of potential to self-sabotage your romantic connections. And I'm saying that because there are indications that you may be coming into this relationship after having had a breakup or something traumatic, like possibly death, or possibly more likely some sort of cheating had gone on, either you, yourself, or the ex-partner, and that you're coming into this relationship at a time that's quite busy emotionally for you. Because I'm getting new energy, but I'm also getting a lot of past energy that hadn't been resolved properly before you are coming into this new relationship, this relationship that we're asking, aka the next relationship you as a single person are going to be entering. Now, it's funny because this relationship, to me, I think it could be very much like you have this, you have this problem where you have some issues maintaining healthier boundaries, and that comes up in this relationship. Partly because I think there's an idealization of the relationship itself, or just relationships in general, and you can be very excited by physical attraction and not necessarily tapping into some of the other things that make a relationship more stable for you. And it's also coming at a time, I think this relationship happens after a time where you've been single for a really long time and really yearning for that part of your life to be over. You really don't want to be single anymore. And that can make us have more rash thinking. It's like you can see that this person's good, but you have this tendency to idealize how perfect they are. And obviously nobody in the real world is perfect. So this is quite an interesting energy, because the thing is you're right. You guys are really compatible, but if you're not careful and maintain the wisdom that you have, it's like you can almost push yourself into this romantic excitement, this just really go too deep too quickly, and put yourself at a bit of a vulnerable place, because this One Ring Circus card comes up here. This is a feeling of like not really knowing where to go and what to do, and needing to maintain boundaries that are healthy so that you have actually got like further that you can travel. It's like you kind of fall head over heels so quickly, partly because there's something that's happened that's not really been dealt with before, that there was this loneliness, that things felt really stagnant and stale, and that with this relationship it's like you put all your emotional eggs into one basket, because you're right, this person is compatible, you guys have the potential to have a very successful, exciting, happy relationship, and they're really beautiful, you really fancy them, like you guys have a really, like there's this fiery connection between you. The reason I'm saying like be careful is because there's an overemphasis in the cards to do with these other more conflicting, more private, frankly, emotions. I don't really get the impression that this person is the person who's in charge of all of this, these feelings. This is about you. This is how you're feeling inside. I feel like you felt invisible for a really long time before this relationship is going to begin. So if that's speaking to you right now, pile 2, I would actually concentrate on like friendships and happiness and feeling healthy, because when we're happy and healthy, we attract much healthier, happier relationships into our lives, and we need to be careful about the type of people we attract. When we're not feeling so safe and so strong, we can often attract people who are a bit predatorial to that energy. And so this is why I'm saying, you know, we need to be in a happy, healthy place for having a successful relationship. The other aspect of this is less about that tendency for us to have a problem maintaining boundaries, and is much more actually about moving on into something exciting, moving on into something that really gets us going. This New Beginnings card practically like ran at me when we were doing the preparation, as you could see. This one fell. It was like, you're gonna have it's a new point, it's a new energy, it's a new turning of the leaf, and this is a really good thing. I feel like this is the quietest, most important energy that we have coming up here. Owl spirit, wisdom. You have wisdom at hand. It is internal. It is here partly because of this large amount of still energy and closure that you were going through. There's something that you had been dealing with emotionally that provided you with a lot of wisdom, and I want you to remember that out of most things, that you when you're not leading with emotion, you can lead with an instinctual healthiness about what is good for you in the long run, and it's not running after the most sugary, exciting high that you can find just because it suddenly becomes available to you. It's certainly much more deeper than that. And if you're able to maintain these really healthy, happy boundaries when you're going into a relationship, this stuff is going to be rewarded in the long term, because I'm feeling that this person is someone who's able to provide that for you. It's like they have I do feel like you're going to be extremely physically attracted to this person. I think that has the potential for you to not see them completely as a person, like completely you and them together intimately. Like you might actually struggle to get to know them, partly just because you're so enthralled at their beauty. And I feel like that could be a really big missed opportunity, because I feel like that's a habit that you've had before with other relationships. It might just be like that physical attraction aspect is so important compared to all the other stuff, and I feel like you've had a very hard knock learning that isn't all you need and all you want in a relationship. I feel like Spirit's reminding you just to remember that lesson, so that when you do feel this attraction again, you actually stop and wait and work out if that person's compatible for you, if that's someone that you want to spend time getting to know or not. Because this is a new beginning of a new relationship, yeah, but it's also a new beginning for you. It's a new beginning for yourself at having closure, at like having struggled for such a long time to work out what on earth was going wrong before. I do feel like you may have had quite a lot of breakups before you meet this person, that you may have dated quite a lot and been quite confused as to why it doesn't work out for you. And I think you know deep down why it's not been, and you need to hold on to that lesson when you go into the next relationship, and not see everything so, like, not put this person on a pedestal and think that they're the answer to all of life's problems that that also the physical attraction lasts forever as well, because obviously if it's a very successful relationship, that does wane because you're with that person for a longer time, and it's quite normal for things to develop in different ways. But after physical attraction isn't necessarily the most important thing. It starts to become attraction of the soul, and then physical attraction does tend to come back into it again, but it's a different type of attraction. So I just want you to be aware of these lessons that you've already learned the hard way, and just to remember that as you're going into this relationship, because this relationship really does have potential. And only, I say this, I don't think that it's almost as if this relationship could be really good, but the biggest hurdle is actually you and your attitude to the relationship itself. If you haven't learned this lesson properly from the last relationship, it's almost irrelevant to how this one goes. It's curious because the last reading I did for pile 1, I really had a sense of the relationship and it had 2 people in it. This feels much more about a relationship with yourself and your attitude towards romantic relationships. So I do feel like I need to say that to you. There's work to be done here before you start having more profound connections. It's not that it's like a completely like lost cause, because there's definitely potential for this to be very successful, but it does require you to really dig deep and be uncomfortable being intimate and not be so torn away by things that are to do with attractiveness more than anything else. Because ironically, that puts you actually much more aloof to a partner than they might need you to be. I hope that's making sense, pile 2. Sorry that I got quite deep there. I want to see what the tarot is saying as well about this. What's this relationship like, please, for pile 2? What do they need to know? Okay. That one's coming out too. One more, please. One more, please. Thank you. Okay. Ooh. Oh, this is so interesting, pile 2. You are a really interesting person, you know that. You have... It's almost like you have... you're almost like a walking contradiction. I feel like it might be quite hard for you to... do you find that some people struggle to read you? As in, they're not 100% sure what you're wanting? Because that kind of comes up here. You are someone who really wants to see everything and try everything once. You have a real kind of like you only live once attitude going on in these cards. But there's something a little limiting about that too. Your next relationship has the potential to take you traveling. I wonder if you guys are going to decide to go on a really large trip. I feel also there's another aspect of this where you may actually have met them traveling, and that you may actually be falling in love during a holiday, or there's something slightly transient about it where you're very physically attracted to each other. There's this connection, and it feels very romanticized, and it feels very much like in the movies. And that's something that you actually really want for yourself. But there's also this struggle because it almost feels as if you perform as opposed to actually like experience. You're almost performing the experience with that person. And actually doing that means that you sometimes feel really trapped suddenly. It's like you've been performing a part and it's been great and it feels great, and this person you fall in love really quickly, and then suddenly it feels that you're trapped, or you're not, or that it's like you haven't got the shorthand to work out. The first time you have a fight, you haven't got the shorthand to work out how to make up properly. And so it can be quite turbulent. That's what I'm getting. It's actually quite interesting because... Okay, so I'm not sure if your next relationship is going to be something that's going to last a very long time. I don't know if this person will be the one. but this person is going to teach you so much more about how to have good relationships for yourself in the long term than anything ever could. It's almost as if this relationship is going to provide you with the answers that you didn't really know you needed. You might get your heart broken, that might happen, or you may break a heart, but essentially the main breakup is actually going to be you with yourself. You and this older aspect of yourself that isn't serving your greater interests. It's like you kind of learn how to be on the same page. You also see the world differently after this relationship or during this relationship. You're going to start seeing the world differently. You're going to start perceiving things deeply and deeper. There is certainly some kind of self-healing going on, and there's a transitional sort of energy flowing through the cards. And if you're able to negotiate this well, you're going to have so much success in love in the future, either in this relationship or the ones that come after this one. Partly because you're going to work out that deep wisdom that you've been sort of sitting on, not understanding what to do with it, not really understanding why these limitations kept coming up, why you weren't able to feel like you could be yourself with somebody, and feeling like it was a failure. You don't feel like after this relationship or within this relationship as well, because obviously I'm reading for more than one person, so I can't go into it on an individual level. But if you're resonating with this is a relationship that could actually be a short-lived one, or alternatively a very transformative relationship, somebody who's your equal, who's actually able to call you up on some of this stuff, and you start to see the world differently. You start to experience and feel your emotions differently. You become much more happier, and there's this vibrancy that you have here coming through. The Seven of Wands card is interesting because this is what I'm saying about feeling trapped. It's almost as if you felt trapped in the past. You felt unable to really emotionally connect. You felt unable to emotionally express yourself. And this kind of stuff with this relationship starts to end. There's an inner wisdom that comes through the experience of this relationship. You just learn so much about yourself and where you fit in the world. It's a really exciting, scary experience, pile 2. I'm excited for you to have this lesson, and I really, really want to know if this was resonating with you, because this was a highly unusual card. These cards coming out, they felt highly unusual, and I'm excited for you and also kind of wow, this is a lot. So I send so much love to you, pile 2. Best of luck with this and your journey. If this was an interesting reading for you, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment and letting me know what you were resonating with. I'm always curious to find out what readings people are really enjoying. But until then, pile 2, lots of love. See you later. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your love reading. We're finding out what your next relationship will be like, what it will feel like, what kind of messages and energies we're working with right now. This was your rose that you chose. These are your cards that you chose. I'm going to place this rose over here, and we are going to step into the enchanted blossoms first and see what you have here. Oh, that's lovely. You have gratitude. Is that tech-wise? Okay, there we go. I just wanted to make sure that we were actually in focus. We have gratitude, and we have the bluebell and the brimstone. That's what we're working with there. We're going to read from the book for these ones. I'm not necessarily that aware of botany and butterflies and stuff, so it's always interesting to see what comes up. We also have freedom coming up here for you here. Gratitude, freedom. I think I've got these on the wrong way around. We have clarity. Oof, beautiful. We have trust. We have magical shapeshifter. And we have beauty. So we're going to go into the book and read what we have to say for gratitude here. I just really like reading from this book. It tells you a lot about the flowers, and I find that really helpful. So I'm going to give you this card to focus on as I'm reading this, and we'll go into it. Few flowers bring magic and fairies to mind more than bluebells. Growing in the great flowing carpets and wooded areas from Spain to the British Isles, these blue trumpet-shaped flowers have long had ties to the fairy realm. To call the fairies' kingdom to court, it was said that these fairy thimbles would be rung, and that picking a bluebell can be a catalyst for bad luck from the fairies. Despite this, the sap from bluebells is used as a glue for early bookbinding and attaching the fledgling on arrows. In more modern times, chemicals found in bluebells have been tested in cures for both HIV and cancers. Bluebells are hugely popular in Bluebells are a hugely popular flower in wooded gardens for their unique look and their ability to reproduce rapidly. Gratitude is one of the most potent emotions humans possess. This card is urging you to stop and be deeply thankful for everything in your life. Acknowledge the people, things, experiences, and emotions you encounter daily. All of these happen to you. All of these happen for you, not to you. The more joyful acceptance you show towards this positive in your world, the more positive things you will see and experience. The more thankful you are for your experiences, the more the universe will grace you in return. Be grateful for who you are and what you have. Once you see the greatness of your life, you can begin to focus on it and it will multiply. Thank you very much, Enchanted Blossoms book, for that beautiful interpretation. You know what, pile 3, I feel really nice looking at these cards. I feel really calm when these cards were coming up, and I think that's really interesting because I feel like that's how this relationship's going to feel. This is a relationship that brings you so much calmness. I was about to say clarity, freedom, trust, gratitude. It's like a cleansing feeling I'm getting. This feeling, this woman by the sea, really, that's it. Like, oof, this just feeling of, I'm getting a cool spray of the ocean. Just feels like a cleansing energy. Something just so refreshing about this connection that I'm getting. I mean, we should also discuss the fact that, yes, you've also got the beauty coming up here. That's good, because I do feel like, you know, whoever you're about to have this relationship with in the future, they're going to be beautiful inside and out. But mostly it's the inside part that you're attracted to here, because this is a relationship that gives you things that you're really yearning for, you really need. It's like they unlock this new aspect into your world where you just feel so seen, and things feel like you can interpret things that may have felt confusing in the past so much more easily. Like, it's like you have a trust both with yourself, with this person in the relationship, and the universe at large to look after you. This trust is really quite like, if I've met this person, nothing can be that bad. Like, I found this person now. So right now I'm speaking to you before this happens. And I'm very excited about this for you because it just feels very healthy, very freeing. There's such a freedom in this card. This is, I mean, I know that this is the word, but do you feel, well, I don't know if you do, but I feel, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling fresh. I feel like I could do anything. I feel like I'm seeing everything from a new perspective. This I could do anything is interesting with the magical shapeshifter. This is someone who, they are so refreshing. I think that's a really good word for it. They're so refreshing to your energy that it almost feels as if you could just do anything. You could take on anything. You could change anything you want. You are able to adapt to situations and your life in ways that you could never have imagined before you met this person, and for that you're internally grateful. It's almost as if this person comes to you and it feels like a gift from the universe. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're very attractive as well. And I feel like you become very attractive with them too. It's like you guys meet each other and you just are really into each other. But what this person gives you is this confidence to just go out into the world and even be more yourself. They are someone who you have lots of intellectual discussions with. I can see that happening. They're someone who sees things. They have a wider perspective on the world. Being with them feels like you get to see more of the world. I don't know if that means in the physical sense or if that just means like the way that you guys discuss things. You just see aspects that you hadn't done before you met them. And there is just this unwavering feeling of safety and trust in this connection as well. Trust, and I want to emphasize this again, I know I said it before, but trust in the universe as well. Like you feel, it's almost as if you feel like you're asking for something and then the universe answers with this person. That's how it feels. It's very fresh. I don't know why it feels so fresh. I don't know. I mean, maybe you're somebody who works in the sea. Like, are you someone who sails for fun? Or maybe this person is. There's something about the sea. There's something going on there. Something about coolness as well. It might be that you're living in colder climates together. There's something about this feeling of freshness. This person, I don't know what that means. That's just coming up. Sorry, it just is. Yeah, it's just like this person feels like a long, cool drink on a hot summer's day. They really do. There's something so revitalizing about this connection. That's how it feels on the inside. I'm not somebody who's going to be giving you, unless it comes up, any sort of specifics about this person. I'm not actually, interestingly enough, I'm not really getting anything specific about their age or their gender or anything really like that. It's much more about this experience of what it's like to be with them, which I know is a little bit more woo-woo, it's a little bit more vague, but that's the energies that are coming up for me right now with this. It's truly just feels, it's the perfect place between adventurous and safe. They're quite serious. I mean, they laugh easily, but they're not someone who cracks jokes. I think you crack jokes and they laugh. And they also, because of the fact that they have this, it's almost like they're polar opposite to you in some ways. They have this ability to see things from another perspective that you'd never even considered before. It's not like they never would ever make you feel stupid about it. It's more just like you go, gosh, I never thought of it like that. Wow. And it just unlocks all these other rooms in your conscious where you get to walk around and you realize how much bigger and better things could be. Cool. I'm not getting anything again yet right now, so I'm going to dip into the tarot and just see what other messages Spirit needs me to hear right now for you, pile 3, because I'm ready to hear some more about this person. They are very interesting to me. Oh, interesting. Give me some more. Thank you. Thank you. Just had a look on the back of the deck and we were getting 9 of Swords coming up. This makes things a little bit, I'm going to take that one to be honest. This does make things a little bit more interesting than it was before, so thanks for the tarot for that one. You're a warrior, pile 3. That's coming through. And it's not for no reason. You have actually dealt with some tough stuff. There's been heartbreak. Oh, there's been heartbreak. This is somebody who you almost are pinching yourself that you've managed to get into a relationship with after all you've been through. That's coming through. This person is someone who's stable and who is emotionally available, and it's like you're pinching yourself that you managed to have a relationship with somebody like them, because it almost felt as if it wasn't ever going to happen. You also weren't like really pining for the relationship, but when it came along, it surprised you. You just didn't expect it. I wonder if possibly this could be someone who's a friend for a long time before you fell in love. That's possible. Or in the very least, it's somebody who you meet and it just kind of it's just someone who you just get on with so much that it just sort of changes things for you in a way you just weren't expecting it, and this is where this gratitude's coming through, because it's like you were given this gift you didn't even ask for. And so this feeling of like, I can't believe I met this person. I am so lucky that I met this person, because I wouldn't have found them. I wouldn't have gone looking for them, and I wouldn't have been attracted to these qualities, because it's quite different from what I was expecting if I was expecting to have a relationship. Like it's very interesting. And I think that's because you've been hurt and things have been harder, actually. But you're somebody who really likes to put a positive spin on things that are hard. You're actually pretty resilient. So is this person too. It's part of the reason why you guys are getting on. This isn't necessarily like, I put this down because this is on the bottom of the card, so this is for my sake. This is what I'm seeing. This you had a tendency to get inside your own head quite a lot, partly because you have dealt with some tough experiences. It's funny because I feel like this Three of Swords, it's either a very, very bad relationship that was absolutely heartbreaking to have fail, or it's something like a parent's death, or a previous partner's death. We're talking really, really things that have been, you almost never thought that like you would come through the other side. That's how devastating that particular pain was before you're meeting this person. You're just flabbergasted that you could ever feel alive. Like it's almost as if that these connections start to heal that wound, because it's like you just couldn't see past that for a long time, and now you look back on yourself, and it could be like a few months ago, it could be a few years, it could be a few decades ago. You look back on your former self when you were in this energy, and you just think to them, you have no idea what's coming, do you? You're going to be so free to move on from this stuff. That's what I'm getting there, pile 3. It's really interesting. Really, really interesting. This person is just, they heal that inner child part of you. They see and are gentle with it. There's no judgment from it either. They just allow it. Because they see things so much more. It's like they see the full picture. They're not like big on one aspect of a story. They see the full picture, and so they're less judgmental because of that. That's part of the reason why they walk through life seemingly quite undisturbed by some of the things they encounter. There's somebody who's seeing quite a lot of the bigger picture, and that skill and that attitude to life is something that they're bringing into that relationship with you, which is in turn giving you a sense of trust and freedom and safety within that, because it's really happy, healthy boundaries happening. They're just really not frightened of big emotions, but they're also really good at monitoring those emotions. They're not like somebody who, they're not someone who's suppressing. They're also not someone who indulges. They're really good. That's what's coming through with the King of Cups. It's almost like they're teaching you that level of being emotionally present without dipping into wallowing. Also being emotionally resilient without dipping into numbing or disassociating. It's really a very good, strong way of just being a human being and experiencing emotional ups and lows. They just know what to do. They're really, really gifted at that, actually. And again, we have this Ten of Wands coming through. We've had this actually before with some of the other readings today, and Ten of Wands here is an interesting choice because, well, we're getting more of these roses. This is why I'm saying these roses coming up here is quite curious to me, because this is why I'm saying that I do think you may have had something with loved ones in the past, be they romantic or platonic, where there has been a sense of like extraordinary loss, and just a burden of feeling pain and grief. But within this relationship, it's not as if those types of profound life paths are going to, dissipate because of a relationship. It's just not possible. But what does happen here is that this person helps you to live with that pain in a way that you feel grateful that you ever felt it, because that grief in a way is a symbol of love. You feel grateful that you had those lessons. You feel grateful that bad things did happen to you because it's made you who you are now. That part of that reality, that perception, is something that this person within this relationship teaches you. It's like they take you in, warts and all, because they radically have this self-acceptance of their own. They're teaching through showing. They're not lecturing. They're just like that themselves. And they can live in the dark and the light. And being able to do that is what gives you this sense of gratitude and freedom. It's like they don't deny something because it makes them uncomfortable. They're absolutely happy to observe it, to witness it, and have that be a part of their story, but they're not going to have that define them. So this is the kind of relationship that you are potentially going to be coming into in the future, pile 3. Really, really beautiful, mature energy coming through here. I'm really happy for you. I hope that you enjoyed your reading, and pile 3, if you did, please consider subscribing or liking or commenting, particularly if you felt like you were resonating with my reading. I would love to know what your thoughts are. But until then, have a good one. See you later, pile 3. Bye. Hello, pile 4, and welcome to your reading. We are reading all about your next relationship, what it will feel like, what the energies are, what this person may feel like, what they are going to be like, all these sorts of things. We're hopefully going to get some answers about that today. This is the rose that you chose. We are going to place that over here to the side, and first look at your oracle cards before I move into the tarot. And I'm going to be reading from Enchanted Blossoms today, from Carla Morrow's book, for your first card. And your first card is Ambition, with the hollyhock and the painted lady, which I think I saw one of these yesterday when I was on my walk. So that is cool. We also have Stillness. We have Fertility. We also have Moonlight. We also have Generosity. We have Acceptance. We have Flow. And we have Transmutation with the Phoenix. So before we get into it, let me read the Ambition piece from the Enchanted Blossoms, just to see what's going on with the hollyhock. So the hollyhock is a beautiful embodiment of ambition. with its tall stalks ever reaching for the sky and its ability to grow in many varied conditions. On the trunk without branching out, the flowers grow right on the trunk without branching out, instinctively knowing the straightest line is the best way up. Native to Asia and Europe, hollyhock can grow up to 7 feet when left wild in the garden. They bloom in a range of colours from white through pink, purple and yellow. Hollyhock has been used medicinally for centuries to treat breathing trouble and inflammation. There is something you would like to accomplish that is bigger than yourself, and now is a perfect time to work on it. Apply for that better position, start your own business, launch a new project, enroll in study or volunteer, meditate on what you might be striving for, start looking for steps or opportunities that will help you achieve your life goals. If you're not sure what you want, think about what you love to do, no matter how crazy it may seem. Areas you love are always good places to start looking for what you are called to do. You will be surprised at the opportunities that open up in odd places where you look. Okay, let me take a sip of my water before we get into this. So, pile 4, I have to talk about the most interesting card that came up for here with this 4th card of fertility first. So, for many of you, this next relationship is going to be the relationship that you choose to have children with this person. This is the person that you are going to be choosing to have children with. Or in the very least, this is a relationship where you may be having some fertility issues. You may be going down less traditional ways of building your family. And that is some of the reason why the ambition card is coming up here. This is mostly for people who have ambitions to become parents in the future. Strangely enough, some people know that this is something they want when they're younger, and some people as well don't have this ambition. So we also need to include some of you who are not necessarily thinking about this, because I do think that this is somebody who will want to have children, so possibly that is going to be a figure of the conversations in your next relationship. Regardless of how you feel about it, this person, it's interesting, right? Okay, so I don't know how to, there's basically 2 different things happening here. We have those of you going into, oh gosh, how to explain. So for many of you, I'll keep it simple, and then I'll go into the next bit. So for many of you, this next relationship is going to be, you're going to end up with somebody who you're going to eventually start wanting to have children with. And I am also seeing that for many of you is going to be a little bit more complicated than originally thought. So there are more complicated feelings about this coming up, just generally, partly because that is a really massive deal and quite difficult to talk about in a YouTube video when I'm not individualizing the reading. So please bear with me on that and just take from this reading what you resonate with and leave the rest, okay? Now, what I'm seeing here is difficulties within getting pregnant, or how you feel and how to plan pregnancy, and I'm not really surprised by that, particularly if some of you are Americans, because obviously things become a lot more complicated when there are certain medical pathways which may be harder to access than others depending where you live. But also that comes into things like fertility, like accessing IVF treatment, or looking into adoptions and things like that as well. And what I'm seeing here are complicated complicated emotions. There's a lot of hope, there's a lot of ambition, there's a lot of trying to relax and go with the flow and be grateful and to give as much as you're able to give to your partner. But I am also seeing that there will be struggles and strife at times. I'm seeing that particularly with the colour as well. We've got blues and reds sort of fighting with each other here. So the stillness, the moonlight, the acceptance, and also partly the transmutation. Like, it's funny because the transmutation is the card that brings both these elements together, with the reds and the blues coming together. I'm seeing this as this acceptance of the situation as a stoicism. This relationship that you're going to be with this person, they're going to really be on your side, and they are with you on the journey, and it's a very calm, stoic feeling I get from them, that they may not be the sort of person who reveals their feelings immediately. They're somebody who kind of accepts things as they are and moves on. They also have this ability to just slow down things a bit. So I do wonder if, depending how you are, pile 4, if you're somebody who's quite active, that this person may feel quite calm for you, because that's some of what I get, which is interesting because I wasn't expecting that, but that's just how it feels. The relationship itself is very supportive, and whether or not you're on the same page with this journey, that many of you will be on the same page, and so it will be this a fertility journey. I'm seeing a fertility journey ahead of you. I can't tell you how that goes for you, but that's just what I'm seeing. It's also interesting because there's some of you where you're not going to be on the same side of this particular thing. For various different reasons. You're going to be talking about family planning in a different type of way. It could be that one of you wants to go through with it and the other one really doesn't, and there's going to be negotiation going on about how best to go about it, or whether or not you should stay together, or whether or not you should there's just very interesting and quite complicated to explain under these reading circumstances. Because there's this moonlight feeling, there is sadness. It could be that one of you doesn't want to go down this journey and the other one accepts that because actually you prefer to stay in the relationship, and so you're choosing to not go down this journey. But regardless of that, there is like a choice that is actually being made, and that is complicated, as it will be. It's a complicated emotional feeling because it's just a really individualized thing that no one else can tell you how to feel about it, and nobody else can tell you what to do. So I don't know, I really apologize, pile 4. I'm doing my best here. There's just so much coming up, and it's really hard to articulate it sometimes. Regardless of these particular feelings around this particular subject, which is really quite strong, regardless of that, what I do get is just this feeling of teamwork, or maybe teamwork's not the right word. It's a union. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. It's a union of people who actually are quite different quite a lot of the time, but strangely are really able to be on the same side of the, like, you guys are so on the same team, even if you're vastly different about what you're looking for in the long term. I see the word compromise come up, and I feel that it's almost as if you both are able to see each other and accept lessons from each other and accept different ways of living your life together, because essentially it's like you guys are soulmates, and I don't use that word lightly. There's definitely a soulmate connection. And the reason I'm saying that is because arguably on paper you don't seem like the most compatible people, but almost as if it's just this thing you can't explain. It's like you're on an adventure together, and you're just like a team, and you're just like on the same side negotiating difficult circumstances as and when it feels appropriate to negotiate them, and you both just accept each other for that. You both want the best for the other. It could be that in the end that this relationship isn't something that you actually are able to continue as partners, and you may choose to break up, because this is a sort of deal breaker situation for many people, where if one person wants to have a child and the other person really doesn't, then quite a lot of couples choose to break up. But in many cases they choose to stay together, and one person decides that they're going to be fine not having children, and they'd rather be with that person. So it really is, it's not one size fits all for a reading for this kind of level of stakes. But what I do see is this Phoenix card of transmutation. It really tells me that this relationship has this quality that is very unusual, and you are actually able to get through some of the stickiest, difficult circumstances together. And if that sticky situation, if that difficult circumstance is a fertility journey, this does tell me this is a phoenix from the ashes. It may be that particular journey really threatens your relationship to breaking point, and for some reason there is just this moment where you guys actually transmute that energy and you're stronger than ever. It's just that's, in order to transmute, you almost have to be at rock bottom. And so this is a really interesting card to come up for the connection, because I'm also getting this there's mournful acceptance in a lot of this. It's almost as if some of the ambitions just are not possible. And here, after that period of sadness, this becomes such a lot more stronger together. You guys are in this place where you're just able to, it's like you can transcend things that others really couldn't, because you guys are so connected. So it's a really strong connection, pile 4, and I think it's so strong because it's so complicated. But you guys are on the same side. That's what I get. And there's a lot of love there, a lot of non-judgmental love, a lot of unconditional love. So this is a very profound relationship in your future, pile 4. This is quite a lot, actually. My heart's going out to you over this, because I can't tell what your circumstances are. I can't discuss it with you individually. So if this is resonating in any way for you, pile 4, I'm sending my love to you. I'm going to ask the tarot for some extra cards to tell me about the messages coming through here. These two just came up. Wow. Wow. Okay. One more, please. One more, please. Sorry. Just had a bunch of them fall down. Yeah. Okay. Just took a little sneaky look at the last card, and I was getting 10 of Swords, so I know that you're in your own head at the moment. Okay. Let me shift these around a little bit. So, okay. We cannot get away from the fact that there's fertility journeys going on. I'm just going to move this up here for the minute. No, I need to do that here. That feels right. Thank you. Right. You had so many cards coming up. You had like 4 different cards from some of the Oracle decks. Pile 4. So these are the cards that came up here from my tarot. We had the Empress and Strength coming first, actually. I need to put them in order. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit overwhelmed with this reading. This is really intense, okay? not overwhelmed. I'm feeling a lot of, there's a lot here. The moon came up again, and so did the Four of Cups. And so I can feel there's a mournful acceptance going on in these cards. And I also need to talk about the fact that this is our emblem for the Empress, okay? I don't think that the cards could be any more stronger about the situation of discussing with your partner the journey of parenthood, in particular what it is to be a mother. And again, I'm getting really strong support from the relationship in the reading as well. That's coming again, like I'm having the Phoenix answered by the Strength card here. And I'm having the Fertility card answered by the Empress card here. And I'm having the Moonlight card answered by the Moon card here. And then again, this acceptance and Moon energy coming through here with this Four of Cups. So I'm seeing a mournful energy, and I'm seeing that things are actually materially probably quite good, objectively, and relatively. But there is emotional sadness in this reading, pile 4. I have to be honest with you. I do feel like it's for many of you it's realizing that it may not happen for you in the way that you hoped it would, and it's the relationship that helps you to move on from that and to heal from that, and to because this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a relationship that looks after you, that's on your side, that's with you feeling sad. And I don't really, it's a shame because I can feel that this reading has been completely defined by this particular moment, but it is I think what speaks to me most about this particular relationship is how strong you both are together. The main cards that I get from you guys about what your relationship does are these 3 cards, where I see strength and I see adaptation and I see love and generosity, and you both on the same side to the point that you're incredibly strong, and that you come back into this particular energy of flowing through into a happier place. I want to ask, and I didn't do this for any of the other readings, but because of the situation at hand with this particular set of cards, I think it's important for us to leave the reading on a note of asking Spirit for some advice, just generally, just a last moment of just finding out what Spirit wants to say to us about this particular set of qualities going on in here. Okay. Okay. So Spirit has given us this as a message here. Look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius. This is partly why we have ambition, we have acceptance, we have stillness, we have generosity, we have flow. We have this message and this invitation with transmutation from Spirit to look at things from a bigger perspective and not to hone in so much on the way that we're feeling. I think that that's partly why this relationship is so profound. You guys have just this incredible ability to get strong during times of, Phoenix from the ashes. Like this is a transformative relationship for you and the person you're in it with. You guys are able to actually really get going when the going gets tough. partly because you have an ability to accept that you are one with the world, that you are making and forging a path in the way that you are being shown to go, that you're trusting in the universe, that it has a story that it wants you to live, and that things are happening to you because they do and have to be that way for the moment. And part of that trust and that strength is coming from the fact that you're trusting each other and you're looking after each other, and you're finding that strength within the relationship with each other in order to actually get happier and healthier and to be strong. The other aspect of this story is that you do actually end up getting everything you ever wanted. And even then, it's this invitation to look at the bigger picture, because it's almost as if you've planted all of those eggs in one basket in terms of your happiness. Whether or not this thing works out for us, that will define my life. And Spirit's saying to you not to have that as a thought. That's not helpful. It's not true. And there's every chance that that's not the story that's being told. It's just a snapshot that we have right now in this reading. Because there's the other part of this where this is a very wanted journey that you go on with this person, and that you get what you want. And it's also not necessarily, this is the thing, although I'm strongly feeling it's to do with fertility in a literal sense, there's also an aspect of this ambition and making projects together, that actually you and this person are in a business partnership with them. And a lot of these disappointments are not coming from these literal fertility issues, but are also coming from trying to get projects off their feet. And I'm talking in business. And for one example I'm coming up with, it's to do with like making films and making like a business not working out or working out. These are both things that are happening, but basically what it is there's a process of like many different projects that aren't supposed to happen, and then eventually they lead to the project that does happen. But essentially the one remaining factor in all of those examples that I can see going up ahead of me, the bigger picture if you will, is that this relationship is always the main base camp for all of those adventures up the hill. Whatever it is that you choose to do, it's with this person. They are the phoenix with you. You guys are a phoenix and a lion together. You guys both get on with it together. You both are on the same side together. And so it's a very compelling match, and it's complicated for sure, because I do feel like you guys are going through more than I would ever expect to have been getting up in a reading like this. So I feel like I've gone on enough, and I feel like I've said all I need to say. But I wish you so much love and luck, pile 4. If this reading was resonating with you in any way, I just want to tell you, like, I have so much love for you, and I hope that you're feeling that. And I hope that Spirit is giving you the right messages that you need to hear right now, and that you're going through seeing the bigger picture as much as you can, and not focusing on things not going to plan. So with that being said, pile 4, I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you felt that you were resonating with it, please consider subscribing or liking or leaving me a comment to let me know how you found it. I would really appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye, pile 4.